And I've never talked about that with anyone here in our group, but I'm getting so many questions and so many concerns. So I actually wanted to really kind of simplify things. And we have all of our WHO, the World Health Organization, and the CDC to give us our basic standard guidelines for what we need to do to help protect ourselves and our immunity. So we're aware of those. It's old news. And I think we're all practicing the social distancing and washing our hands and not touching our face as much. But for those of us like you, like me, like our loved ones who have diabetes, it goes beyond the standard guidelines because our bodies aren't standard, they're compromised. So I think the bigger question here is focusing on solutions. And that's what I get so excited about because it's about focusing on the things that we can do every day that can help make a big difference. And although there's many tips that I share and many tips that are out there, I think that it's really important to look at one really important system in our body that is the power center for how our body receives even all the supplements and the good things that we do for it. And that's our lymphatic system. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. But when you have diabetes or prediabetes and you have blood sugar levels that are going up and down, and that's the nature of diabetes, what happens is, as you know, inside the body, that causes internal inflammation. And so what happens is that our lymphatic system, okay, we have our circulatory system and our lymphatic system, but our lymphatic system is basically our garbage collection system. And that's where our body takes all the toxins, it takes all the external pollutants, all the internal pollutants, the mental stresses, the emotional stresses, pesticides, pollution, all that kind of stuff. And it tries to process it. So our lymphatic system is like a processing plant inside of our body. And here's what happens when our blood sugars are higher than normal and we have an overload of those pollutants or we have a really nasty virus. What happens is it hijacks our lymphatic system. Just to give you a little bit of perspective, our lymphatic system starts with our tonsils and adenoids, and it goes through almost every organ and cell in the body. And where you're probably most familiar with it actually is the lymph nodes in the body, which are located in the groin and the arms and other areas in here. And also the spleen, very important, and the thymus, the thyroid and thymus gland. So when we're looking at what can we do to boost our immune system, one of the first things that we can do is look at our lymphatic system, because its whole goal, the whole reason that we have that is because it collects pollutants and it's meant to carry them out of the body. It's meant to filter them so that they don't go in other parts in the body to contaminate and break down our immunity. So with that said, and knowing what the job is, what we want to do is keep that whole chain of lymph, which is basically actually 95% water and the 5% other. What we want to do is we want to keep that flushed. What I want to do is I want to show you something really cool, because now that we know what the lymphatic system does, we want to look at how do we support it? What can we do? I'm going to show you something. I just took a picture of this that I use every day, especially in the wintertime, but even more so now. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's a little bit of light here, but can you see that? Hope that you can see that. And that's actually called a Vibromedics machine. And what that does, you stand on that and there's different levels of high to low. And what that does is it's able to give you a really great vibratory vibration in your body, because you're standing on it and it's moving, and it's able to help loosen up and dislodge things in the lymph system. It's also like another good example of moving the system, in addition to our walking and eating well and being out in nature. Then you may be familiar with this, is rebounding. And I used to do rebounding all the time in my hypnosis center, and that used to be a part of our care and therapies. And rebounding and moving the body, and this example I showed you with the Vibromedics is also really good, because it helps to really help get the things moving through the lymph system, so that number one, things don't stagnate, and things don't congest. And that is one of the biggest things that we can do for our immune system. And I know, Sigal, that you're really big on that. I know you're big on movement and getting things going. And that's really what we want to focus on. So one of the biggest things that we can do is support our immune system. Another tip today that you can do to support your immune system is going in circles where you know where your lymph nodes are. A doctor friend of mine in Toronto actually had done a biofeedback test for me, and he was actually showing me that I did have lymph buildup. I did have inflammation in my system. So he was showing me a really simple exercise. It's free. You need nothing to do it, and that is to take your knuckles and place them right beside and under your arms, but right beside your chest, and go in little, and you're going to feel it. So if you actually just try that right now with me, if you go in little circles forward and you count to 10 and you apply some pressure, and if you go in reverse and you count to 10, you can feel that sensitivity, and that is actually helping to break up congestion of lymph. So like I said, one of the biggest things having diabetes is that we support our lymph system, because its whole purpose is to have the white blood cells to fight infection, viruses, and bacteria. Hello, Karen. And fight bacteria. So those are the tips today about one of the things that you can do to build your immune system. It's often a forgotten one and not talked about as much because we're looking at supplements, which are really important. But in order to get the maximum absorption and efficiency from all those other great things that we're doing, we want to make sure that our system, our lymph system itself, is able to be as efficient as possible. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any thing to add, you could always put also, if it's possible there for you in a chat box, or in the group, post something. And
hi, Cheryl. Hi, this is Lori. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I was just wondering, when it comes to boosting one's immune system, do you have any other tips, like anything related to like food I might eat, or things small changes I can make that can help?
Sure. Well, when it comes specifically, and I'll answer that in two phases. One is when you're looking at your lymphatic system, which really, with being the garbage collection system, you want to move things. So the things that you can do to support that are going to be these things. And you might want to write these down. Are one, your leafy greens, and more specifically, kale and collard greens. So those are two things that you can put into salads, mix them with others, but it's important to get those. The other thing are healthy fats. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Of course, the olive oils, which are typical, but we're going to talk about nuts and seeds. And then the other big one is going to be nut butters. And I actually started substituting what I was having with nut butters. And you might even notice, and I'll show you this because it's right back here. This is my lunch, and this is a great fat with hummus and dipping that in celery. So that's part of what I do in my day. Now the other things that help with that, and one of the biggest things with omega-3 when it comes to foods is wild caught salmon versus not wild. So versus farmed. So it's you've got to look for it, and you pay for it, and it's definitely well worth it. So the other thing is, a lot of people do buy supplements that have omega-3, 6, and 9. And people look at those sometimes and think, okay, great, I'm getting more because it's got omega-3, 6, and 9. Well, we already make more than sufficient enough omega-6. What we need to focus on is the omega-3. So those are a couple, 3 or 4 tips in there. But again, boosting our immune system, nothing's going to be greater. I don't know if you can see this, so I'm going to bring this forward, than getting. And like, I love color. So all my plates that I have all the colors that I can get on there at once. So I'm always having lemon. And I actually will squeeze lemon and put that on salads, and put that on things that I roast and bake in the oven as well. Oranges, kiwi is like one of the highest in vitamin C. Strawberries, and of course I use my celery for my dip. And then I mentioned this, I was interviewed just the other day out of a broadcast in Washington. And this is as a raw. This is an original, and I get the raw turmeric. And curcumin and turmeric are great immune system boosters. And you can grade this on a grater and use that, or you can do fine grade or thick grade, and you can use this in smoothies. You can use this in roasted vegetables. You could use this in mashed cauliflower, things like that. So does that help?
Yeah, that's super helpful, and that looks amazing. I want to have that platter you have behind you. Actually, I didn't know that about the kiwi either and vitamin C. So I saw another question come in here on Facebook Messenger actually, and someone had said that they'd seen you mention a couple times the benefits of vitamin D, but they wanted to ask again, how much are they supposed to be taking, and is there a safe limit or anything like that, and what are the other benefits?
Okay, so honestly, and I actually have a PowerPoint, wish I could bring that up, but vitamin D, okay, so like vitamin D, the lack of it is a pandemic, just like pandemics that we're going through right now. Worldwide, it's a pandemic. Even those people that live in Saudi Arabia in some of the hottest countries are deficient in vitamin D. And it's a little bit mind-blowing because they're in those climates. I mean, it's 130 degrees in some of these climates, but they're all covered. With us here, especially in the wintertime, not getting out. And again, we're covered in the wintertime. So how much vitamin D naturally are we getting from Mother Earth? So you're going to find different guidelines for vitamin D. But to answer your question about how much, you'll see that some of the recommended daily amounts are anywhere from 400 to 800 international units. And you'll see not to exceed 1,000 or 2,000 in other recommendations. And I know that I'm a big follower of Dr. Andrew Weil, beautiful, beautiful spiritual medical doctor who's also a naturopathic physician. And he recommends anywhere between 4 up to 10,000 international units a day. What I let people know is this, is when you have a compromised immune system, and when you're looking at what quality of vitamin D that you're taking, and looking at how absorbable it is, you're looking at small amounts that are absorbed in the body. So what I actually recommend is usually nothing less than 4,000 international units and up to 10,000 international units. Other friends of mine who are doctors and who are actually professors recommend 10,000. So I think that it would be safe to say that you can alternate as well, and not taking it all at once is important. So you could divide that up, twice in your day. And also the other tip, I guess there's like about 10 tips today and not one, but the other tip that goes along with vitamin D, so is that its best friend is vitamin K. And vitamin K taken with vitamin D gives you that optimization. So vitamin D on its own probably performs less than 35%. And then with that added vitamin K as the catalyst, that's what really helps with the immune system. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for your time today on this live and offering all these tips to us.
Oh, no, absolutely. You're welcome. I think that when we do look at our immune system, I don't think it's a sexy topic for people to be talking about their lymph system because it is the garbage collection system, but really how much attention do we give that system? I don't really hear a lot about that, even in practice with other colleagues, but it's really super important. So if we make sure that our thymus, our spleen, and our nodes are able to have those white blood cells, especially at a time like this, when we do have uncertainty with healthcare and with the viruses out there, we need to build up our immunity and keep it flowing so that we can produce more and more and more white blood cells to attack those viruses and unwelcome bugs. So yeah, rebounding is fun. It's actually really fun. It can be a great family activity too. And I'm just going to show that picture one more time. I don't know if everyone was on when they could see it, because I use this every day. I use it a couple times a day. I use it and it's a Vibromedics machine. And like I said, it's got different levels, and it oscillates, and it's able to help break up toxins and create that flow in your body too. So yeah, there you go. But again, nothing beats natural walking and actually some cardio, doing some cardio and getting your muscles moving. Oh my gosh, catch this, catch this, catch this. Okay, so you're the first to know. April 15th to April 19th, mark your calendars, mark your calendars. There is a 5-day no BS, standing for blood sugar, and the chaos challenge. So what we're doing is we're having a 5-day challenge, and we are going to give you the top things that you can do to help normalize your blood sugar level whenever you need to. So if you come to holisticdiabetessolutions.com, at the website, you'll see a link, and on social media, we'll be sharing it too. And if you have groups or people, family, parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts, uncles, friends, people on social media in your groups, this will be a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you for asking. And we'll see you on the inside next time. We're going to be having a broadcast live this Friday, midday again, probably between 12 and 1. And we're going to have lots of fun with that. We're going to tell you a lot more of the details on Friday, okay? So we'll see you then.